Former President Barack Obama is speaking out about political violence in the wake of the murder of Charlie Kirk and pleading for leaders to lead, saying, quote, regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. The former president also raised concerns over the escalating threat of more violence.
We are certainly at an inflection point, not just around political violence, but there are a host of larger trends that we have to be concerned about. I think it is important for us at the outset to acknowledge that political violence is not new. It has happened at certain periods in our history. But it is something that it is anathema to what it means to be a democratic country.
Joining me right now to discuss is the Democratic governor of Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear. Governor, thank you for being here. And as we look kind of about on this question of leaders leading in the face of this rhetoric and this horrible tragedy, you are a Democrat who has won twice in a state that Donald Trump won by 30 points in the last election. You know what crossing party lines looks like, navigating tough stuff between people of very different beliefs, what is needed. What is your assessment of how President Trump is navigating this?
Well, I think right now leaders have a choice to condemn political violence and all violence against anyone at any time, full stop, period, or to only condemn violence against people that look like them, sound like them, or believe like they do. I think President Trump right now is missing the mark. Now is a chance to unify the country, to put our humanity above our political parties, to make sure that we are saying very loud and clear that violence against any human being is wrong, and to remind every American that we are all each other's neighbors, and what binds us, what makes us united is much more important than the disagreements we may have that should never escalate to something like we saw last week.
Governor, one thing that many Republican politicians are pointing to is a recent poll as evidence that it is more a left problem than a right problem. A YouGov poll that showed that Democrats were more likely than Republicans to say it's acceptable to celebrate the death of a public figure. The 11% of Democrats saying always or usually acceptable to celebrate a death of a public figure, compared to 6% of Republicans, though, I mean, it really deserves saying that 9% of Americans said it was acceptable, while 78% in this poll said it was unacceptable, just so we can keep it all in perspective here. But this is what I know many a Republican are pointing to, as this is saying this is a more left problem than it is a right problem. What do you do with that?
Again, they have the option to condemn violence, full stop, period, or try to create more of an us versus them that only makes this country boil that much hotter. Now is the chance to have the opportunity for all of the American people to see that leaders believe that murder is not partisan. It is just wrong. And when I think about all of the instances of violence we've seen against political figures, you have the murder of Charlie Kirk, you have the murder of the former Speaker of the House of Minnesota, you have the firebombing of the Pennsylvania governor's mansion while Josh Shapiro was there, the plan to kill Gretchen Whitmer, the mayor of Louisville during his campaign 3 years ago was shot at in his office. This occurs across the political spectrum. And the moment that we try to use it for politics is the moment we lose the chance to declare our humanity and to call on people to be better.
Also happening today, Governor, the former CDC director who was pushed out last month is testifying on Capitol Hill and expected to lay out that she was fired, she says, for holding the line on scientific integrity and point to RFK Jr. as being the problem, that trying to force her to rubber stamp vaccine recommendations for a panel that he stacked with vaccine skeptics before she'd even seen the science. As a governor, how important is the CDC to public health in your state? What is pulling back on vaccine recommendations going to mean for the people of Kentucky?
Pulling back on vaccine recommendations is going to make living in the United States more dangerous for every single American. It's going to make it more dangerous for our kids to go to school or to come home and to see their grandparents. I mean, we're just 5 years removed from a pandemic that in Kentucky killed more people than World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and the Korean War put together. And it was a vaccine that got us out of it. RFK Jr. is not qualified, should not be that cabinet secretary. What he is doing is dangerous. This is an area where we need experts. And again, science is not red or blue, it's just science. That's why we teach it in school. And we need the actual experts that'll put it first to lead that cabinet and certainly the CDC.
Yeah, these two topics actually do blend together, as you're saying. It's not left, it's not right. It is just the facts and just science. It's interesting. I think I saw that you have some travel plans to New Hampshire, which of course gets every political reporter's ears to perk up. Joe Manchin was just on and didn't say no when Berman pushed him on if he would consider running for president. What are you weighing as you consider the question if you should run for president in 2028?
Well, right now, I'm trying to be a voice of reason in the chaos, especially after last week, to be a voice of humanity over partisanship. Next year, head of the Democratic Governors Association, we've got a lot of races to run. After that, we're going to sit down, my family and I, and we're going to look at whether or not I'm a candidate that could heal this country. Now, there's a lot that's going to need to be repaired after this administration, but the most important thing to the United States is that we're able to turn down the temperature, to make sure that neighbors aren't yelling at neighbors anymore, to come back together as Americans, to live out that Pledge of Allegiance where we pledge that we're not just one nation under God, but the next word is indivisible. We've got a lot of healing to do, and if I'm a candidate that can do that, then it's something that we will take a close look at. If it's someone else, I don't mind lining up behind them because I care about this country a lot more than I care about any title.
Much more to come, Governor. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.